How am I feeling? I mean, I'm feeling maybe overwhelmed, like a lot. I don't know, it's just been one of those weeks, I think. Just been one of those weeks.
The thing I do when I'm feeling not so great, like in this moment, is I journal. And this journal I actually got as a gift for my 23rd birthday. It has every single thought I've ever had during the year I have turned 23. Look, I'm not thinking that this journal is ever going to be seen by anyone, but if it is, enjoy it. When I'm really struggling, what I'll do is I'll like just write it as just like a word dump, as like trying to get it out of my head. Sometimes you just need to see it written down on a piece of paper and it'll help you clear your brain. Sometimes I try and convince myself that this is like, I mean, everything's a form of meditating, but for me this is like a very distinct form of meditating, because there is never a point in my life where I don't have thoughts. Silence doesn't exist in here, constantly stuff going on. But when I'm writing, it's like I'm having to focus on the words that I'm putting on paper. Like writing it in a notes app doesn't work for me, because like that's just like, I don't know why, like I write with my hands so little that when I'm writing things, it takes so much brain power to sit there and like handwrite each letter. And I don't know if that's a problem, but here we are. So I'm going to journal. I've got a lot going on, as most people do. And I feel like just over the past couple of weeks, I've really been, you know, just struggling with a bit of like balancing life, balancing how I'm feeling, realizing that I only get 2 days off a week. That's crazy. Just never really feeling refreshed enough to, I guess, like feel ready for the next week. And so one of the ways that I try and do that is by journaling. I always thought it'd be cute if one day I like created a book out of my journal entries, but also I don't know if that would be interesting. So as always, write the date and also the time, because when I look back on these memories and these notes, I find that I really want to know what time of day I've like written them down, because like I'll notice, like obviously when you write something down at like midnight, it's like there's more pain in those ones usually. Sometimes I pretend that I'm like having a conversation with my therapist. Like I don't have a therapist anymore, but when I did have one, what would our conversations be? Like what would the questions that he would ask and how would I respond to them? And then usually I like write down my response, or what my response would have been, you know? Solve all my problems, but it makes them feel more tangible. Like if I've written them all down, it's like, okay, it's only a page worth of problems. It's not the like mountain it feels like in my head, you know? And sometimes that's enough. I need you to know I've legitimately done this for 7 minutes, including me talking to you. I'm already feeling better. And do you know what I've written about so far? That I'm feeling tired, overwhelmed, that I felt scared, that I think that I'm dissociating. And you know what? I am dissociating. And you know what? Just writing that down has lifted a cloud. This is also something I do, and I don't know if I learned this in therapy. I must have, because like where else would I have learned it? How are you feeling is a hard question, because like, bro, I don't know how I'm feeling, but I like to answer it with like, how am I feeling? I don't know, but I can describe it to you. How would I describe dissociating today? Okay, so it's kind of like a cloud, but like not a cloud, a fog. It's not like a fog that's grey or white. I don't think it's black either. It's okay, it's multicolored. Okay, stick with me here. Okay, it's a fog that's like a bruise. And like in that, I mean like, you know when you first get a bruise and it's like black and purple and blue and it's just like a murky, lots of colors on you, right? And then it kind of like fades a little and it gets kind of a bit reddy as well. And then you give it a couple of days and it kind of becomes like a yellowy color. And it's kind of like a gross yellow, like a greeny yellow, like it's not a fun yellow, but you get that yellow, but you know that it's starting to go away, right? Like I'm definitely very much in like the fog that's like in my head is very much like the start of a bruise. It's not black per se, but it's definitely very much purples and blues, and there's like a bit of red, and it's just like a swirling, foggy mess of colors that are just like blocking my view. I'm here, but I'm not really here, right? And then I'm hoping, giving time, it's gonna start moving more to like mainly red, and then maybe some like greeny yellows. I don't know if that's gonna happen. The fog might just stay here for a bit. I'm not gonna lie to you, it has been a couple of weeks with this fog. Am I over it? Oh yeah. Oh yeah, I'm over it. But you know what? Prior to me figuring out what color the fog is, a lot scarier. Like sometimes I like if you've got a weight in your chest, I find it difficult to be like, it's heavy, like what do I do about this? And so I'm like, okay, what vibe is it giving off? And sometimes I have a really heavy weight in my chest that's yellow. Like, yellow should be a happy color. Why is it hurting? You know? But sometimes it's just yellow, and it's a yellow weight on my chest, and I want it to leave, and it's not leaving. Sometimes it is like, you know, it has like light coming out of it. Sometimes it's sparkling. I feel like by like creating a visual of how you're feeling, it just makes it easier. And I don't know if that's true or not, but it's worked for me so far. I also feel like it helps communicate with other people, because then other people can be like, I can see why you be not feeling great if that's what you're dealing with, you know? Now you're like, oh, that's the fog going on inside your head. That sucks. Or you're like, my fog's not like that. My fog's worse. It's like, okay, tell me about your fog. Or is it not a fog? Is yours an orb? And it's quite fun. And sometimes that's it. How do we make mental health fun? Journaling, making it a color, making it a shape, making it a vibe. Sometimes what I'll do is, if I'm really struggling, at some point my brain decided to have like a baseline of 3 colors, and the colors are blue, yellow, and pink, and I don't know what each one represents. Clearly, like, blue and yellow seem obvious. I don't know what pink represents, but sometimes I'm like, where on like a level are each of these colors? Like, maybe blue's here, yellow's here, and like pink's here. Does that help anyone? Absolutely not. But do I feel like, okay, comparatively to like yesterday where blue was like here and now it's here, we're doing better, you know? I haven't figured out what pink is yet. I know I created this system up in my head and I should know. I'll let you know when I figure it out.
I feel like I've been really out of it. Yeah, dissociating. And I guess just like not exactly processing how I'm feeling. I mean, I think because there's just so much going on, I just don't know how to even start, you know? Like, there's just like such a backlog of like emotions that I'm trying to deal with right now. How do you start? You know what I mean? Like, it's just like a little bit overwhelming at the moment. That's okay. I did try and do some strategies, some tools. I tried to give myself like time to think. Did it work? I don't know.
Something else I try and do when I'm not feeling too great is painting. It's just like a different activity. Like, I feel like I'm constantly on a screen, and this just like isn't a screen. And it's also not reading, and sometimes I'm not in the mood to read. And it's also very like self-contained. If I only want to spend 5 minutes on this, I only have to spend 5 minutes on this. But if I want to spend an hour on this, I can also spend an hour on it, you know? Like, when I get bored of it, I can just finish. And I'm very much a creature of habit. I'll draw the same kind of things. They don't need to be good, but it's more for vibes. It's more for like, is this fun? What am I getting out of this? This one's actually really cool. We're going to paint something new. Also, my hair is wet because I just washed it. Shock, right? I can't bother to dry it. What I think, usually I try and paint something based on vibes or what I'm feeling. But today I'm kind of feeling like a 4-leaf clover. Why? It was either that or like a lightning bolt. The reason that I chose the 4-leaf clover is because I'm kind of trying to go for like a luck vibe. Like, I know that sometimes like believing too heavily in the whole luck thing can actually be like detrimental to my mental health, but I also know that like you have to make your own luck sometimes, you know? I feel like there are very few activities where you have to like sit with your own thoughts, and I feel like painting is like very much that. Sometimes I wish it was like socially acceptable just to like cry. Be like, I would like to have a breakdown right now. Up until recently, I'd never really understood how people like couldn't respond to messages. I was like, it's not that hard, you know, like, and it isn't. Inherently, it's not that hard. It takes about 5 seconds. But like, the idea of having to like go online and respond to a message is like, that's the actual hardest thing I have to do at the moment. And I kind of feel bad, but most of my friends are like pretty understanding in the fact that they like understand that my mental health just isn't doing great at the moment. But it's still like, it still feels shitty because you're like, I wish I could respond quicker, but it is taking me like a day, like a 24-hour turnaround to respond to messages. And I know for some people, they're gonna be like, well, that's how quick I normally do. But like, that's unusual for me. So like, it's noticeable, or at least I feel like it's noticeable, you know? If you had a choice between being told what the rest of your life was going to be like, or not, like if you had that choice of being able to determine if you could find out whether you knew what your life was going to be or not, would you decide to find out? Because like, I always feel like I would say, like, I think there are definitely days where I'm like, I wish I could find out exactly how my life was going to go, because this is stressful and I don't know what I'm doing with my life, and how do I know what I'm doing is right? But then like, if it were to actually come down to it, I don't think I would. Like, I don't think I want to know, because it's kind of fun finding out. Like, I think that's the point of life, is finding out what happens and getting to choose or feel like you have a choice. So like, actually I probably wouldn't, but there are definitely days in which I'm like, it would be nice if I just like knew everything was gonna work out. There was one time in primary school, my friend and I had to do this like report. We were in a group together, and it was like on animals, and we picked a Ulysses butterfly. And if you want to argue if it's not an animal, it's an insect, great, go for your life. But we went with a Ulysses butterfly, and now you might be like, why are you bringing this up? And the real reason is, I don't know, it just popped into my head. Like, I have not had that memory since probably I was about 10. And for some reason, I've decided that now is the moment to remember that memory. And I think it's because, like, I don't know, a Ulysses butterfly it's so unique and it's so pretty. And I feel like more people should look into it. And I feel like it's just, this would probably be more inspirational if I actually knew more about a Ulysses. I think we're all special. We're all doing our best, and sometimes that's all you can do. I actually think this might be terrible, but that's okay. It's a thought that counts. My friend who moved away to university has come back. She messaged in our group chat being like, I'm back, and then we were like, where do you want to go? And it was like, I'm not a local anymore. And I was like, why does that feel like a slap to the face? You know, like, because it wasn't intended that way. I've noticed that I'm getting better though in life. When I like get annoyed at something, I usually now go, okay, why does that annoy me? Why am I really annoyed at that? Like the other day, someone at my work was like calling me by my full name, and I was like, what? Are you like, I don't know, like literally the only person that calls me by my full name is my brother. You know, like, because it sounds weird when he calls me Izzy, but everyone else doesn't call me that. And so I was literally like, why do you hate me? And then I was like, okay, why am I so annoyed at this person for calling me by my full name? Like, let's internalize and go, what's happening? What's making me feel this way? Anyway, and now I have a solution. So, moral of the story is, if you're feeling something, you're like, why is this making me feel this way? And sometimes you feel better. Not always, but sometimes. And in case you're wondering, this is my clover, which I feel like is pretty good clover. For the fact that, like, I'm not claiming to be an artist, but this was fun, and this makes me happy. Other things that I really like to do is listening to music. I love finding new artists, or like listening to artists that I know a couple of their songs, and then like listen to the rest of their discography. Reading, I love to read, but I mainly read to like escape my world. Like, that's not really like I'm not meditating doing that, I'm like trying to escape the life I'm currently living sort of vibe, you know? And that's okay, sometimes you don't need to do that. I don't know if it's healthy, but I'm also not qualified to say anything, so I'm probably gonna go back on a screen now, if I'm being honest. I think the thing is, the tools I was using were helpful, but they might not have been the tools I needed in that moment, you know? I guess I was thinking more like externally, those sort of tools, rather than like internal tools. For example, like I was doing like reading, and I was like listening to music, and I was painting, and I was like doing all of those fun things, when I think maybe I should have been using other tools, like mentally picturing things, or focusing on my breathing, or some of my favorite tools are like the ones where you're like picturing your thoughts, but you're like stepping away from them. So it's like just like thoughts like going across your brain, or like a path in a meadow. I feel like there are just so many internal tools I could have been using. I think the external ones helped in the sense that like I was able to slow down, and I was able to process, and I was able to kind of understand where I was kind of at and what might help, what other tools might help. Because I think sometimes I just start like chucking solutions at a problem, hoping that one of the solutions will work, rather than slowing down long enough to figure out what the problem is and then finding the right solution. And so I think by slowing down and doing all of those things, like journaling and painting and reading and everything I've already listed, I was able to realize kind of how I was feeling and like what might help, you know? Am I feeling better? Yeah, I think I am. I think I am feeling better. I'm starting to feel better for the first time in like a while, which is crazy. I feel like I've had waves of feeling better and like feeling worse, and you know what, and I feel like for the first time in a while I feel like I'm feeling better, and that's really scary to say. Oh my god, I literally like felt my heart seize up by saying that. It was like, oh my god, don't jinx it. We're doing better. I think we're doing better. I guess we'll see. Oh my god, is this like a hopeful ending? That's scary.